Are we really this old? And were we ever that young before? And yes and yes. Okay, that's the bottom line. I was thinking about the review yesterday, actually, in Washington. I was broadcasting yesterday morning out of DC, and watching that woman give the President of China and the President of the United States that very uncomfortable moment.
Yes.
I've got to tell you all, I felt in that moment that I am so proud to be an American. When she screamed out, and you know what I thought of? And I truly mean this. I thought of a voice crying out in the wilderness. And she was screaming for freedom. And she was also disrupting the very beautiful and very ceremonial, and everything was buttoned down just right at the White House. They thought they had everything set, not to offend our great communist Chinese strategic competitor. And indeed, there was someone who was invited to the picnic who was the aunt of the moment. And that reminded me of the Dartmouth Review. You know, I remember so many things from the review, and I've often joked with Wendy Long and Debbie, who I wish was here, and Dinesh and Greg Boswell, that I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today, which liberals would be happy about if it weren't for the Dartmouth Review. There is no doubt about it that from Jeff Hart to William F. Buckley to everything I learned at the newspaper, we didn't have, you know, when I became editor, we had just gotten those really weird Apple Macintoshes that college gave them to us. You know, the screen was like this big, it was like an easy bake oven, that's what it looked like. And I was like, wow, we don't have to do pay stuff anymore, we can actually do it on the computer. And it was like so wild, and it was such an odd experience. The next thing I know, my mother was calling me on the payphone, there's no cell phones, of course, called me on the payphone and said, Laura, you know, I'm a waitress here in Manchester, Connecticut, and I just understand that we've been served for a lawsuit for $2.4 million by Bill Cole, who's a professor at Dartmouth. What are you doing to us? And I said, well, Mom, something happened on the way to class the other day. And that was the beginning of our odyssey. And the one thing that I have to tell you all is that Dartmouth College has never allowed the facts to get in the way. And I'm glad to hear people talk about being in the mainstream, but I gotta tell you one thing. I don't want to be in the mainstream. Alright? I like being on the outside. Because the mainstream of Dartmouth College in 1985 did not understand that when we actually hired the Gala organization with the help of a number of very wealthy Dartmouth alumni, we hired the Gala organization to do a poll of all the living Indian chiefs in the United States. I kid you not, we had this very official poll, you know, we made a graph, whatever that we used back then. And I kid you not, we sent out, I think it was 375 poll sheets, and it was all very well tracked and so forth, and Gallup did it for us. 82.7% of the Indian chiefs in the United States wanted the Indian symbol back. 22 years later, the college still isn't listening, so all I can say is stay on the outside. You're doing okay on the outside. Thank you all for being here, and the Dartmouth Review is just, we've got to keep it going. As long as Dartmouth is in existence, the Dartmouth Review has to be in existence. It made me who I am. The great fights in the 1980s, the political correctness wars that we were fighting, are still the wars that are being fought all across this country, and everything from foreign policy, border enforcement, everything that we're seeing happening in Washington, and obviously our big foreign policy battles. I just got back from Iraq last month, and the review spirit has always stayed with me. Thank you all.